Breaking. First civilian detention by U.S. Marines in LA sparks outrage. The deployment of U.S. Marines to Los Angeles and their subsequent detention of a civilian has sparked widespread debate and raised significant questions about the role of the military in domestic law enforcement. This incident, coinciding with planned nationwide protests against a military parade in Washington, D.C., highlights growing tensions surrounding President Trump's unconventional tactics and immigration policies. This is Skylimit TV, your trusted news source. Click on the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell to stay updated on our latest news. The individual detained, Marcos Leao, a naturalized citizen and Army veteran, was reportedly held after entering a restricted area near the Wilshire Federal Building, while military officials stated that active duty forces can temporarily detain individuals before handing them over to civilian law enforcement. The incident has fueled concerns about the expansion of military powers on American soil. Critics argue that such deployments undermine the traditional separation between military and civilian authority and could have a chilling effect on free speech and assembly. The presence of Marines in Los Angeles, alongside National Guard forces, was ordered by President Trump to quell protests against immigration raids. This move has been met with strong opposition from California's governor and local officials, who contend that the protests do not warrant military intervention and that such actions escalate tensions rather than de-escalate them. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, joined by other elected officials, has vocally opposed both the immigration raids and the military presence, questioning the federal government's authority to override state and local jurisdiction. The backdrop to these events includes a highly unusual military parade in Washington, D.C. celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army and President Trump's 79th birthday. This parade, along with the domestic use of active duty troops and the military detention of a citizen, are all considered uncommon for the United States. Furthermore, the recent forceful removal and handcuffing of a senator by federal agents at a press conference has added to the sense of unprecedented government actions, as approximately 1,800 protests are scheduled across the U.S., with 15 expected in Los Angeles alone. The situation remains volatile, while law enforcement officials, including Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna, differentiate between peaceful protesters and those causing harm. They have also issued warnings against violence and property damage. A curfew has been implemented in a section of downtown Los Angeles, with officials stating it will remain in effect until the course of the turmoil ends, specifically citing the cessation of immigration raids. This confluence of events, military deployment, civilian detention, ongoing protests, and unprecedented federal actions, underscores a period of significant domestic unrest and a challenge to established norms regarding the use of power in the United States. The situation is closely watched as it unfolds, with implications for civil liberties, state rights, and the future of political discourse in the country. Marines on the streets. First civilian detention in LA sparks outcry as national protests loom. This is a breaking story that's shaking the very foundations of civil liberties in the United States. For the first time in recent memory, U.S. Marines, deployed domestically by presidential order, have detained a civilian on American soil. This unprecedented event is unfolding in Los Angeles, a city already at the epicenter of heated immigration protests, and it comes just hours before nationwide demonstrations against a controversial military parade in Washington. This isn't just a headline. It's a moment many Americans are calling a dangerous escalation. What does it mean when active duty military forces are used to support domestic policing? And how much will the American people tolerate as political tensions continue to boil over? The city of Los Angeles has been a flashpoint for days, with protests erupting over recent immigration raids. In response, President Donald Trump ordered Marines to the city, joining National Guard forces already on the ground. This move, fiercely opposed by California's governor and local officials, was, according to Trump, necessary to quell unrest. However, state and local authorities vehemently dispute that claim, saying the protests do not warrant such a military presence. And this Saturday, the nation is bracing for even more. Approximately 1,800 protests are scheduled across the U.S., specifically targeting President Trump's military parade in Washington, D.C. This parade, marking the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army and coinciding with Trump's 79th birthday, is itself a source of major controversy, with many critics calling it an authoritarian display and a waste of taxpayer money. the deployment of active duty troops domestically, coupled with a military parade, marks a highly unusual chapter in US history. Adding to this unprecedented week, we saw federal agents forcibly remove and handcuff a US senator just yesterday, as he interrupted a press conference by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. It's clear that the political landscape is becoming increasingly confrontational, and unconventional tactics are now the norm. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, speaking alongside a dozen elected officials, voiced strong opposition to both the immigration raids and the military presence. "We are here today because the raids have caused fear and panic," Bass stated, posing a critical question to the nation. Can the federal government come in and seize power from a state and from a local jurisdiction? How much will the American people put up with? 15 protests are expected in Los Angeles alone today, and Mayor Bass is urging peaceful demonstrations. Now, to the core of today's bombshell. We witnessed Marines make their first detention at the Wilshire Federal Building, where approximately 200 Marines are assigned to protect federal property. The man detained, 27-year-old Marcos Leao, is an immigrant and a U.S. Army veteran who obtained his U.S. citizenship through military service. Leao told reporters after his release that he was simply trying to get to the Veterans Administration office inside the building, and crossed a line of yellow tape to avoid walking around the building. He complied with all commands but believes the Marines mistook him for a protester. "They treated me very fairly," Leao said, adding that he was told, "Understand, this is a whole stressful situation for everybody, and we all have a job." He was restrained with zipped eyes and held for nearly 2 hours before being handed over to civilian Department of Homeland Security personnel and ultimately released without charges. U.S. military officials have confirmed the detention, stating that active duty forces may temporarily detain an individual in specific circumstances, but are required to turn them over to civilian law enforcement for any formal arrest. This incident highlights the blurred lines that emerge when military forces are deployed for domestic law enforcement functions. Despite the military presence and a curfew implemented by Mayor Bass over a square mile of downtown, demonstrations in Los Angeles have continued for an 8th straight day. Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna noted a big difference between legitimate protesters and those causing problems, emphasizing that law enforcement welcomes peaceful protests, but will arrest those who cause harm or damage property. The curfew, officials say, has been useful for maintaining order, but Mayor Bass stated there's no termination date for it, linking its end directly to the cessation of the immigration raids. This is a story with profound implications for civil liberties and the role of the military in American society. As the nation prepares for a day of widespread protests, all eyes will be on how these tensions play out. We'll be keeping you updated on every development. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next update. Stay informed, and we'll see you next time.